Can I ask Sarah? Sarah, I have a few questions on Dhamma. First, why there are two types of Tadaramana? One is Ahetuka, the other one is Sahetuka. I do not understand what Sahetuka Tadaramana is. Hi, Sarah.
Sarah, we can't hear you.
Oh, all my welcomes were. Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Tadao, it depends on the kind of chitta that is performing the function of Tadaramana. If it is the Santirana chitta that is performing the function of Tadaramana, for example, if it is an akusala vipaka chitta, or it is a very weak, the result of very weak kusala chitta, then it is ahetuka, because the Santirana chitta is always ahetuka. So if the different kinds of Santirana chitta perform the function of Tadaramana, the Tadaramana is always ahetuka. But if it is one of the different kinds of kusala vipaka that is performing the function of Tadaramana, then it is hetuka with roots, just like the Bhavanga chittas are with roots in this realm. So it depends on the kind of chitta that is performing the function of Tadaramana.
Okay.
So 8 kinds of kusala vipaka can perform the function of Tadaramana, and then it is hetuka. But if it is Santirana, then it's always ahetuka.
Okay. Next. I do not understand that Tadaramana takes place not only the sense doorways, but also the mind doorway. How can Tadaramana take place even at the mind doorway? It's my question.
Afterwards, I'm going to ask you about your interest in Tadaramana and what the purpose is. But as I understand, if Tadaramana chittas arise in the sense door process, hanging on to the object that hasn't fallen away yet, then Tadaramana chittas also arise in the following mind door process. Same kind of chittas, but perform the same function of Tadaramana following on in the Kama Vachara realm. In the Rupa Vachara realm, no Tadaramana chittas, no clinging on, hanging on to the object. But my question to you is, what is the purpose or benefit of understanding more about the details of Tadaramana? Can it be known now?
No, my real purpose of knowing the Tadaramana is that, to do with that, I do not understand what Maha Vipaka chittas are. As far as I understand, Maha Vipaka chittas concern mostly with Vimutti chittas, that is Patisanti chitta and Bhavanga chitta and Chutti chitta. And that's the point I do not understand. I understand what Ahetuka Vipaka chittas are, but I do not understand why there are vipaka chittas which are sahetuka. This is my main concern.
So only the results of kusala karma can be sahetuka. So for us in this lifetime, because it's a result of kusala karma, then the patisandhi, the bhavanga, and the chuti chittas are sahetuka because we're not born as deformed and with the result of very weak kusala. So those chittas are sahetuka. And if any of the past kusala karma conditions the vipaka, which performs the function of tadaramana, it can also be sahetuka too, different from when it's santirana chitta that performs the function. Just like when santirana performs the function of patisandhi, it is ahetuka, without roots. So it's the same when it performs the function of tadaramana without roots.
Okay, thank you. It's very different from what I used to think. I used to think that all vipaka chittas are ahetuka, and most of them take place under sense dual ways. That was my understanding.
Right. So when it is the result of akusala karma, for example, birth in an unhappy realm or woeful realm, then the vipaka chittas are always ahetuka, no matter whether we're talking about the bhavanga chittas or seeing or hearing or any vipaka, it has to be ahetuka. But when it is the result of kusala karma, then some chittas, like seeing and hearing and smelling and so on, are always ahetuka, but some vipaka chittas, such as the patisandhi and the bhavanga chittas, and if tadaramana chittas arise, they are sahetuka, unless it's the result of very weak kusala karma performed by santirana, and then it is ahetuka also.
Okay. Thank you.
Anyway, it all just goes to show how these different results are the results of different karma, and nothing anyone can do about it. No one can decide or control or may have any say in whether the result now is ahetuka or sahetuka, or whether tadaramana chittas arise or don't arise. All anatta, all just describing in more and more detail the nature of different chittas arising by conditions, and it's now no one there at all, just different elements, as Lucas was talking about on DSG. So perhaps Jan or Lucas or anyone else has more to say on this topic.
Thank you, Sarah.
No matter when and while we are talking about Dhamma or any subject, what can be known right then? Is there anything to be known to understand the truth at that very moment? Even at the moment of talking about anything or looking at anything or liking anything, what can be known then? Otherwise, nothing can be known. Nothing is known because there's no understanding of that very moment. No matter we talk about the Dhamma and seeing and vipaka and so on, at that very moment, what can be known as it is?
Excuse me for interrupting, Ajahn, but your voice is quite weak. I don't know if you can speak more directly into the microphone. Thank you.
Can you hear me now? Better?
Yes.
Better.
Okay. No matter what we are talking about, Tathagata or any subject, what can really be known as it is. Otherwise, there cannot be any understanding of what is that right then or now, anytime. That's why learning to understand, to let go, ignorance, attachment to the six ways, there can be a moment of understanding the characteristic of that which is now appearing. But without understanding the nature of each one as it is, it's impossible to let go the idea of things and people and story. That's why even whatever is now appearing cannot be known at all. But when there is the understanding of the characteristic of that which sees, hears, or thinks, there can be a little bit more letting go, the clinging to that object or anything, the story of what is or that, to be known as what is there now. Otherwise, this moment is resting because it cannot be known. If now cannot be known, how can there be the other moment be known? That's why each moment, no matter it falls away or it's not there anymore, but there can be a little more understanding of the characteristic which is there as condition to understand the truth that actually it's not there anymore. And if you don't think about the value of understanding this moment, there cannot be any moment of understanding it. That's why just what is can be conditioned to think about it, understanding it little by little, to know that at that very moment, it's not thinking about the other thing, but just begin to think about that which is now appearing with a little more understanding. This is the point of the teaching of the Buddha, to understand what is there as it is. Even thinking a lot about this or that, there can be a moment of beginning to understand the truth of that moment. What is there? A reality, different reality all the time, from this to that, appearing. And as much as what can be realized is seeing, right? Hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, and then thinking, traveling all around six ways all the time, no matter what we take for place or thing or people or situation or the story. And that is the life conditioned by ignorance when there's no understanding of the truth of what is there now. Just hearing the truth of what is there now. Is it very precious in life or in samsara? They were understanding the truth of seeing right now, hearing right now, even it's there. And that can be little known by hearing and considering the most precious moment in life and in samsara too. Otherwise, there is life going on, seeing and hearing by conditions unknown. Let's go on and on and on and on, non-stop, endlessly. When there's no understanding of the truth, that whatever is now appearing is conditioned. Understanding more about condition, there can be a little bit more letting go of ignorance and clinging to that as something or I, because it's so very deeply rooted. This is just the skin of the bone yet, because it's just hearing about it, just hearing. What about the understanding of the characteristic which now appearance and object from moment to moment, from birth to death, and then begin again, with and with, on and on and on. The same thing, seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, thinking, no matter in what world. See, the sound is conditioned to arise, is experienced by hearing, and both gone. That's why it's so very subtle, even it seems so very simple. Who doesn't know what's saying now? We just said it sees or seeing. But even seeing is so very subtle. Seeing is no one knows. It's a moment of experiencing what is seen now. No understanding of seeing at all. Just reading about what appears as things because the very rapidly succession of the arising and falling away all the time. All are hidden. That's why we begin to peel off little by little the skin or the paint, which is so very, very, how do you say, adhere or stick to the object years and years ago. And how can it be a little bit in each life to begin to understand the truth? Because it's not just talking about it, it's the reality appearing. So it depends on the words of truth to understand it little by little. And this is what we are talking about, Dhamma, reality. What is life without reality is impossible. And how it is now, no one knows. But because the words of the truth from the Buddha, we begin to understand. No one can make it arise. It's there are conditions. Without condition, nothing can arise at all. Even seeing right now, hearing right now, thinking right now. So learn to understand a reality at a time, because without that reality, there is no world, no matter what. Without the eye base, there cannot be seeing, no word of seeing. With the ear base, there cannot be hearing, no word of hearing at all. And this is the understanding of the impermanence of whatever is there. It's gone, see, right now, it's gone, unknown, from birth to death. Years and years ago, it has to be just like the 6 doorways only. That's why only one doorway appears at a time by conditions. Each word should be leading to the truth. There is touching now. We heard about touching, but it's not the understanding of touching right now. Until there is more understanding that the world appears just one reality at a time. So it cannot be the tree, the shoes, or anything at all. Only that which appears. Is that not true? And as it hasn't arisen to be known as that yet, it's impossible to clinging with ignorance to that which appears, because it's there. So what is there is the object of clinging because of ignorance. And how many moments in life, in this world or other world or anywhere, uncountable at all. It's gone, each moment, nothing there. This is the truth, the first Ariya Satya. But it cannot be realized when there is the clinging to this or that as I or thing situation. That's why it needs the endeavor or kanti, viriya, satya, to understand that without all this wholesome reality, which at the moment it cannot be unwholesome, there can be a moment of beginning to clean the dirtiness of the chitta. It's so dirty, it's so dark, it's so undesirable because it is ugly. But who knows, this moment of attachment, this moment of ignorance, is it clean? Is it pure? Or is tainted by all kinds of unwholesomeness, time to time, all the time? That's why listen to understand the truth, just understanding. Otherwise, there must be desire or attachment for the results, to experience it, to know it, no matter what way. And who knows, as long as desire or attachment is there, it hinders the understanding of the truth of what is there now. Unknowingly, it's there. That's why the understanding only can let go ignorance and attachment and other unwholesome reality, little by little, so very little, among the wave or the current or the flood of asava. So as much as we can understand the preciousness of the understanding, there can be many conditioned reality arising and falling away, even right now. See, the sound gone. Who knows? At that moment, is there anyone? Is there anything? Is there any world? At the moment when just sound appears, there cannot be anything with it, or sound now arising and falling away. And in life, how many realities? If there's no understanding of reality, it's impossible to let go ignorance. That's why patience to understand the truth, that is so very subtle, because it is this moment unknown as it's arising and falling away, and conditions for its arising. That's why it takes quite a long time, unexpected time, by little understanding what is there as it is. Little attachment or desire or wishes to experience it. But as long as there is the ignorance, it conditions attachment until lopa is known. Otherwise, nothing can let go lopa right now. And seeing, hearing instantly, unknowingly. But consider whether it's true or not. This is the most important for understanding. Consider it, understanding it. There are many levels of understanding. And if there's not enough understanding from hearing, how can there be conditions for direct awareness to understand what is there now? No matter it is hardness or smell, feeling or liking or memory right now. That's right, learn to understand what is there, deeper and better, more subtle, to let go ignorance about the truth of it, that it cannot be taken for anything at all because it's gone. Not sunyata, anatta. There is thinking right now for sure, but it's known. There is attachment right now for sure. It's not known. Until hearing about it, letting go, ignorance that is there, who can change the way it is. But understanding begins to understand little by little. Otherwise, nothing can let go. Wrong understanding, ignorance, and attachment, and unwholesome realities. Until even akusala or akusala can be eradicated. It's not just only akusala which can be eradicated, it has to be kusala too. Otherwise, it's like try to find a way out, but no understanding of the strategy of the way or the path.
Ajahn, I'm not sure whether I heard correctly what you said just a moment ago. Something about akusala to be eradicated, and it has to be kusala as well.
As long as there is kusala, it is conditioned for kusala to arise. That's why Arahata does not have akusala and kusala too.
Yeah, yes. Okay, thank you. Yes, so that ends the round of vipaka, kilesa, and kusala or akusala.
Karma.
Dhamma, yes, thank you. Okay, thank you.
So back to Tao and the questions. So even when asking the detailed questions or considering the nature of Tadaramana Chitta, I think the point that Ajahn is stressing is what is there now? So what is the purpose now? What is the Chitta at this very moment? Because sometimes we think of study as reading and understanding the various details, but the true study is the understanding at this very moment. What is there now? And this is a topic I was also discussing with Lucas on DSG. So it's always back to what is there now, no matter one's reading the text or asking a question or listening quietly or half asleep, still, what is there now? And it is the understanding now of what is there now that is the true study of Dhamma. Do you have any comments to Dao or Lucas?
Hi, Sarah. These details are to do with the book I've been working. I do not write anything wrong. So I have to clarify if there are some misunderstandings of Abhidhamma. It's why sometimes I want to know details of Abhidhamma. That's it. And I know that these minute things do not help so much for being aware of this moment, but it's for my reader.
Right, and as you say, it's important if one's writing that the details are correct. And even when asking or even writing the details or studying them, still the true study is what is there now. So even at those times, even when writing the detail or answering the question, there can be understanding of what is there now, because the understanding always comes back to this moment, no matter one is thinking about the details of one's shopping list or the details of the Abhidhamma text or the details in one's exercise class. Still, what is there now? Still just seeing and hearing and thinking as usual to be understood.
About here and now, about this importance of this moment, yeah. There is one thing I cannot understand. That is the importance of the development of parami. It seems to me that there are two pathways. One path is Eightfold Path. The other one is development of parami. I do not understand how Eightfold Path is correlated with parami.
I think that if there has not been the development of the paramis for a very long time, then when hearing about the teachings and considering no conditions for understanding to develop, and for the understanding to develop to the degree of direct understanding when it is the path, it needs the support and the accumulation of all the paramis together with the understanding and the path factors. So when we talk about the various paramis, like the Satya parami and the Adhitthana parami and the Nekama parami, these are the qualities or the factors that have to support the development of understanding. If there is no renunciation of akusala at this moment, then understanding cannot develop. So I think they develop together. There cannot be the development of the paramis without understanding and the development of the path. And there cannot be the development of the path without the support of the various paramis that we discuss so often, the truthfulness, the renunciation, the patience, and so on. So much patience that is required, because like Ajahn said, when there's just desire for results, desire to get the details right, desire to understand, it hinders. It makes it impossible for the path to develop, because there is the strong clinging to having understanding, to having the path. So we can see how great patience is required, so as not to cling, but in order for there to be the acceptance of whatever is conditioned now, seeing now, anger now, boredom now, whatever is conditioned has to be that way, tiredness now, clinging now. So the patience has to develop together to support the path.
Okay, another thing which I do not understand is how becoming aware of this moment, how become aware of Dhamma as Dhamma and Rupa as Rupa is correlated with the Eightfold Path.
If there is not the understanding of Nama now as Nama, seeing, just seeing, not anyone that sees, not anything that sees, just the reality which experiences the object clearly, and the same with other Namas, each having their, performing their own function, no one there. And if there isn't a clear understanding and distinguishing Nama from Rupa, the reality that is experienced, that doesn't experience anything. The sounds that are heard now, just sound, no thing, no person, just that element that is heard and falls away instantly. If this difference between the hearing and the sound, between the nama and the rupa is not understood, then how can there be the understanding that is of the path that directly understands what appears now? How can there be the letting go of the idea of self in order to directly understand whatever reality appears at this moment?
And also, Tada, if I could just mention briefly that when we talk about awareness now and the Satipatthana Sutta, what is meant actually is awareness and understanding, not just awareness, because there is no thing as just awareness without some other form of kusala being performed. And so in that sutta, sati sampajanya, so the development of awareness is the development of understanding. And the development of understanding is the mundane form of the Noble Eightfold Path. So the Noble Eightfold Path, that is enlightenment, requires the development of, as we know, understanding of realities. And that's what awareness is all about, the understanding of conditioned realities. And it's the same consideration to your previous question about the correlation between the Noble Eightfold Path and the Paramis. Well, Panya Parami is the understanding, that is the understanding of the Noble Eightfold Path in its mundane form. So when there cannot be a moment of understanding of conditioned realities without the other factors or some of the other factors of the Noble Eightfold Path arising together with it. So that's how they are interrelated. When one is developed, so is the other.
Okay, as for the Eightfold Path, one thing which I do not understand is the difference between Eightfold Path and Fivefold Path. Why there is such thing as Fivefold Path?
Because all 8 factors only arise at path consciousness moment. But when the path is being developed, then there will always be those 5 factors arising. So if there's awareness now, awareness and understanding of a reality that's appearing now, if panya does arise with sati, then the other 3 factors, that is, I think it's samavayama, samasamadhi, and one other, will arise also. But the 3 virities may or may not, one of the 3 virities may arise, but not all 3, for example. All 3 of the virity factors of the Noble Eightfold Path only arising together at the moment of path consciousness.
Okay, good. Thank you.
And if there is no understanding now of what is nama and what is rupa, and the clear distinction is not understood, there can never be the path or the developing of the path. So this is why there has to be the firm, right intellectual understanding first of those realities which are namas, and those realities are rupas, in order for the understanding to develop firmer and firmer until it is the direct understanding of realities, which is the beginning of the development of the path proper. So there has to be, as Ajahn was mentioning earlier, there has to be the hearing again and again about the nature of the Dhammas appearing now, the seeing now, the thinking now, what is seen now, and the careful considering again and again to let go the idea of something there, someone there, in order for the understanding to develop with the assistance of the paramis to directly understand realities. And this is the path, the development of Satipatthana.
And can we say that among the 10 paramis, the Panya parami is the most important?
Panya is the leader, the leader in the path factors, the leader in the paramis. Without Panya, no other paramis can develop, no path factors can develop. This is why we discuss so much about understanding, like earlier when you talked about awareness, as Jonathan said, there cannot be awareness of reality without understanding. Sati Sampajanya have to develop together.
Okay, thank you.
Either Sarah or Jonathan. Jonathan referred to the mundane eightfold path and the noble eightfold path. When I heard Sarah talking just moments ago about the gradual development of understanding, starting with the intellectual, but moving on to the Satipatthana. Is that what you mean by mundane noble path? Perhaps one of you can clarify.
Just on a terminology, so it's not a mundane noble path because those two terms are contradictory. So it's a mundane path, which is, as Tadao mentioned, has 5 of the path factors arising with it, or it's the noble eightfold path, which is the moment of actual enlightenment.
Yes.
So when we talk about developing awareness and understanding of conditioned realities, we're referring to the mundane path. A moment of such awareness and understanding can be referred to as the mundane version of the Noble Eightfold Path.
Okay, thanks.
And the 5-fold or the 6-fold path, depending on whether one, the viriti, Cetasikas arise. So strictly speaking, this is referring to moments of Satipatthana, moments of direct understanding of realities. So the careful considering about realities now is actually like the pre-path. So we may call it the path to enlightenment. But because it's only the intellectual understanding, it's not the direct understanding of seeing now or hearing now. So it's actually the way leading to the mundane path, which is the development of Satipatthana. But mundane just means the path that is not
noble.
Lokuttara path, not moments of enlightenment.
Okay, thanks. That all makes clear sense.
So Sarah, as long as one is developing sati and panya in one's daily life, he or she, it's not necessary for them to think about whether one is developing the 8-fold path or 5-fold path, meaning that if there are sati and panya, one is on the right track.
I think the main important point is that is not one that is on any track, not I or you or anyone that is developing sati and panya. If there are conditions, sati and panya arise and develop, not belonging to anyone. So the path is all about the letting go of someone, anyone who develops or does anything, or who studies or is understanding now. So we're just talking about conditioned realities. And as you say, at moments of understanding just now what appears. No thought about fivefold or eightfold or mundane or enlightenment, because it's just the visible object that is understood at that moment. No words needed, no thought of whether the virities are arising or not, just visible object at this moment. So that's why whatever we're talking about comes back to what appears now, what can be understood at this very moment. Just reality, not belonging to anyone, not I on the right track or the wrong track, just different dharmas arising and falling away by conditions, sunyatas.
And the other point to keep in mind, which I think you appreciate, Tadao, is that only kusala that is accompanied by panya of the path type leads one to the goal. Other forms of kusala, such as dana, sila, samadhi, etc., while they have merit in their own right, but they do not lead out of samsara. So to answer your question, yes, if there is awareness and understanding at any moment, then the path is being trod at that moment.
Good. Thank you.
Lucas, I'm so glad that you could join this discussion. I don't know if you have any questions or any topics you would like to ask Ajahn about, such as we were talking about study and when one may not seem as energetic as one likes and this sort of thing. Anything you would like to bring up or ask about?
No, good morning to everyone. No, I'm just going to listen right now because I came in the middle of the discussion, so I just want to listen to what you're saying. But I really love your explanation of the parami that you just made before, that whereby they're not isolated individual attributes to be developed. They develop in tandem and they're like almost like a tapestry in a sense. And this is something I've been thinking about for quite a while, I guess. And it makes so much sense and so much clarity for me to listen to that. Perhaps if I'm not sure I'm interrupting the topic you're on, but perhaps we can go into more about the development of the parami and how they developed.
Thanks, Betty. Actually, I was addressing Lucas, but anyway, I'm glad that you replied.
Sorry?
I was addressing Lucas, but I'm glad that you replied.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That was all.
My sound for the Monday discussion is not so good here.
No. That was. I'm glad that you are here as well.
Anyway, sorry.
That's good. And on the development of the parami,
this is
so
one of
I
those
think
few Mondays where I'm sorry, Lucas.
And anyway, I think on the development of the parami, as we were discussing, it has to again come back to understanding what appears now, because if there's no understanding at all of reality, then none of the paramis can develop with it.
That's
But
right.
let's
Yeah.
see if either Lucas or Jan would like to
Absolutely.
say more at this point.
Are you looking for parami to develop?
Question for you, Betty.
Sorry, let me get my hearing aids. I'll be right back.
Right.
Are you are you looking for parami to develop?
Betty has gone to get her hearing aid, so I think she couldn't hear the question, Ajahn, but when she comes back, we can repeat it. But please go on in the meantime.
Maybe I'll answer. There's always, I was just thinking about attachment. We know that attachment that accompanies the idea of self is a big hindrance to understanding, but it does seem that there's also attachment, otherwise just plain attachment, because there's so much accumulated attachment all the time. So even while listening to the Dhamma, we hear about this, we hear about that. There is wanting this and wanting to achieve that, wanting to have more kusala all the time.
You see that we are study just one word at a time to understand it clearer. So now people heard the word parami. Does anyone would like to understand it, to develop, or what? So truthful to the truth. Now we're talking about what and what is the purpose of talking about it. So each question should be carefully thought about, considered to understand the answer. Otherwise, it's not clear what is the point of talking about this word, or other words like parami. Is there enough understanding of the real parami, or just talk about it and just understanding in words only? So, does anyone look for parami to develop it, or what? And what is it? The point is just understand the word, or what? Or what is parami? And is it very important? Yes or no?
I think it's a kind of it's basically it all boils down to understanding. Yes, absolutely. When people talk about the Varami, or they say that the Buddha had to develop the 10 Varami before he could become enlightened, it's just a way of saying that through the course of developing understanding, that these particular areas of behavioral characteristics, if you want to call them that, are will develop. And so it's just, I guess, an easy list to say, or we're going to have these 10 characteristics develop. But they are so important because they are the major characteristics of understanding that need to be developed in order to that there can be any kind of real progress toward enlightenment.
As everyone would like to have parami.
Well, those who know what they those who studied it and have some pariyati understanding at the beginning probably would, yes. But those who don't know anything about it would absolutely have no idea about it.
Only those who listen to the teachings of the truth and understanding that the truth is so very subtle, it's not easy to realize at all. Understanding how subtle it is, it conditions the understanding that without the understanding, little by little, there cannot be moment of realizing the truth of this moment at all. From this, it conditions moment of do anything to understand the truth, like listening now. Now are we develop parami right now? Are we now developing parami to understand the truth?
If they
But if it's not for understanding the truth right now, is it parami?
no.
That's why understanding how very subtle it is, even Buddha himself had to develop great parami to realize the truth as the Ariya Satya. So what about us without any understanding of what is there at all? How can there be that moment enlighten the truth of this great moment? That's why understanding without parami, it's impossible. Without any understanding the truth, it's impossible to realize the truth right now. And right understanding cannot arise alone at all. It needs other factors to develop it. For example, Khanti and Virya right now, we're talking. It doesn't matter how many hours, just to understand the truth of what is there, to understand that what is unwholesome, what is attachment, what is ignorance. Without right understanding, it's impossible to let go the wrong understanding of what is there now. That's why learning just one word to understand, whether it is parami or not parami, for other purpose is not parami, but to understand that which is now appearing, which is very, very subtle to understand. But there is virya, and khanti at any situation to let go ignorance and attachment and unwholesomeness. And it can be now. When there's something unpleasant, is there any khanti to understand that is not anyone at all? It's only a reality conditioned by ignorance, not understanding the danger of it. That's what keeps on arising on. And it's not just only unwholesomeness, akusala, even kusala, I is there, my kusala is there. So it takes quite a long, long time. And who knows, only the person who understands the teaching can know whether it's a parami right now. Because when there is not enough understanding of the characteristic of a reality like anger, is there any moment thinking about it, understanding the danger of it? And when one like to eradicate the fun, anger is there too. And if it can be a moment of arising, how can it be less and less? So parami is not just try so hard to understand the reality, but anything in life, all kinds of unwholesomeness is there, hinder the understanding of the truth. That's why right understanding leads to any kind of kusala, to let go the idea of ignorance. And even at moment of kusala, akusala cannot arise. That's why if one still have many, many moments of akusala in a day in life, how can parami develop? That's why understanding parami as what it is, what purpose of parami, to understand what is there now. By hearing that moment there is virya, and Kanti for any situation to understand reality right then, as one has heard about reality, its condition, it's gone. Before there can be moment of understanding whatever in life is not self, as it is one by one. So it's now parami.
It can be right now, this very moment. It can be, but this is a wonderful explanation. Ajahn. Thank you so much.
So now it's parami, Kanti, Virya, to understand the truth of each reality when it's there. Like when there is anger, it's time to understand it. Or when there's not enough understanding, it's moment to think about it, the danger of it, and have Virya and Kanti to bear, not to be kusala, not to be kusala. See? Hard task, hard time, but right understanding can go through that. And that's its parami. Any good, unwholesome, kusala, with right understanding of the truth. Even it's not there, but it is conditioned, even just a moment of thinking about it. And who knows, only that person only, who knows how much understanding of that moment, or none at all in life, normal life. Just overwhelmed with all akusala, accumulation to arise more. So there can be the understanding of the truth. Is there now parami? To understand what is there, little by little, to have time to think about it, not thinking about a story or situation. What is there now? No one, no situation. So at moment of understanding, listening to understand the truth, developing the moment when it's there, as no matter it is kusala or akusala, little by little in life. So how much parami in life, but as long as there is right understanding of the truth of it, it's conditioned for parami to arise time to time by conditions.
I think, Betty, this is a very helpful discussion that you have initiated for everyone, because we know that you and other people have many problems, many difficulties in life, but at the
Everyone
moment,
has.
everyone has, but at the moments of understanding, the moments when the paramis are there is the forgetting about the situation and the difficulty and I and this person and that person. For a moment, there is understanding of what is true now. And
Exactly.
like you have made the effort to join the discussion early in the morning. And it does take Kanti Parami and Virya Parami, all the paramis that really see the benefit in listening and understanding, instead of just being obsessed by the story and the situation as usual. Most of the day, there's just thinking about this story and that situation on and on endlessly. But at those moments when there is the real understanding of the benefit of listening and considering and understanding the truth, then the paramis are there developing together with the understanding, having a holiday for those moments from all the usual akusala at those moments of wise reflection and careful considering and study. So I appreciate that you have joined and are asking these questions.
Thank
and
you, Sarah.
Seeing the value.
Anamotana for the wonderful way you explain things. and to John too. I mean, even more so, how wonderful you both explain it. I can't.
Where would we be without good friends?
And Betty, if I could just add a word also, in the context of metta, for example, we've discussed at length how it's not a question of deciding to develop metta and spread it to other people, but it's a question of when metta arises naturally by conditions of recognizing it and that being the moment of such development. Well, I think the same applies to the paramis. We don't need to go looking for them. We don't need to decide to develop them specifically, but they're all wholesome qualities that can and do arise naturally in daily life from time to time. So if, as they do arise, the possibility is there for them being recognized as such and their value being appreciated. And at that moment, there is the development, or can be the development, of those paramis. That's all it is. It's not something that we need to specifically set our minds to developing.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Jonathan. That explains it also very beautifully. Anamotana.
Like now, you didn't decide, no one decided to have a lot of patience or kanti parami to listen, but by conditions, because of the understanding of the benefit of discussing and hearing more about the truth of life, there is that kanti and that virya developing at this moment by conditions with the understanding. So this is the difference between wishing to develop the parami and trying to develop the parami, as opposed to the paramis developing naturally together with understanding now.
Thank you so much.
Alberto and Zita, you're both live, or Lucas, anything you would like to bring up?
I was thinking about the words that Ajahn was saying a few days ago about enrooting the truth little by little, and only by listening, not by anything by the self, but only by listening to the truth, and that's all we need to do. So we don't have to do anything because listening is not doing. It's the moment of understanding understanding the teachings of the enlightened one, and we can begin to let go of all the what is not true. And because of this, because of listening, because of understanding what hasn't been understood before, and because of understanding the truth a little bit more than yesterday, a little bit more than last year, a little bit more than 10 years ago, a little bit more than last lifetime, maybe, who knows. So it's building up, it's enrooting the truth, the right object in the memory, every memory of the truth, not of the what is not true. We listen yesterday, we listen today, we listen tomorrow.
And yes, well said, Alberto. But we should keep in mind, I think, that it requires more than listening. Also, because one can listen, one can hear the same thing on different occasions, and yet it can have different significance on the two separate occasions. And so there are many factors involved, many conditions. But and the first of those is the opportunity to hear the Dhamma, which we are very fortunate in having. And the listening has to be, of course, attentive listening. And there has to be a lot of consideration of what has been heard for it to really sink in and make sense. But over time, this happens naturally. And so the development occurs at different moments, not just at moments of actual listening and hearing, but outside those moments also. And that's important, I think, to keep in mind. It's not just the moments, the time of listening, that's the time that's put into listening that matters. It's other things too.
And I think, as Alberto said, the true listening is the moments of understanding the teachings, no matter whether we are here or when reading the text or any times. So there's only listening when there's understanding. It's not how many hours one has joined discussions or put on the tape, but it is the moments of understanding. I think Leanne would like to ask a question. Go ahead, Leanne.
Good morning, Chanachan, John, Sarah, and everyone. Firstly, thank you to all the questions. Great question from Tadao, Betsy, and Alberto. My question is about something I heard Sarah said in one of the Dhamma discussion on Saturday. You said karma cannot bring its effect without pakaptu pandisaya pachaya. So I'd like to understand that statement a little more, please.
In brief, for any Dharma to arise, it has to be conditioned by many different conditions, not one. So for a moment of seeing to arise, we know the visible object has to have impinged on the eye sense, and those dharmas have to have arisen already for that seeing to experience it. And we know that there has to have been the karma in the past to condition it. But without Pakatu Upanisya Pachya, without the accumulation of different chaitana to be of the degree of the karma that can bring its result, there couldn't be any result. Without ignorance in the past, there wouldn't have even been the birth consciousness as condition for any karma to bring results in the lifetime. So many different conditions in order for a moment of seeing to arise now. And one of the conditions that is broader than any other is Pakatu Upanisya Pachya. So all kinds of realities in the past are the condition for seeing right now. So it's a very deep topic, but perhaps as we don't have much time left, perhaps Ajahn would like to elaborate more on this point or Alberto's points.
I'll just make one brief comment before Ajahn speaks, Leanne. Another way of just thinking about this is so much karma being performed in the past, ready to bring result. So what decides which karma brings result next? Well, certain conditions. And one of those conditions is Bhagavad Upanisya. That's all. There have to be the supporting conditions. We may have performed some terrible karma in the past, but there's no condition for that awful karma to bring its result at the moment or in this lifetime for various reasons. And yeah, so that's just an easy way to think of it. A lot of karma waiting to bring result.
Actually, what Sarah explained, I understood. But what you just explained, that is something that's still not very clear to me. That's something that I've been thinking of, and I haven't been able to work that out. But I did not, worry much about it because I know that there's no condition for me to understand at this point in time. So that's okay. But the point you just mentioned, I really want further explanation, but maybe another occasion. If we want to hear, Ajahn's to add to it.
And we've also heard many times about the ayuhana, or the accumulated karma at the moment of birth that can bring results in a lifetime. So this also depends on Pakatu Upanisya Pachya. But let's let Ajahn add more.
I think that when there is the understanding of whatever is there, we can understand what is Pachya. Nothing can arise without the other arising together. It's one Pachya. So no matter what is there, it is a Pachya for the other. And also it is the Paccippanna of what is there too, unknown. That's why we learn to understand what is there. And furthermore, we learn what condition it's arising. Otherwise, if we don't know that what we are talking about, how can we know that we are talking about Pachya? Even that is Pachya. For example, seeing right now is Pachya, right? But we don't know what is that which is conditioned by it, the Paccippanna. But after that, we understand what is there. That's why nothing arises is Pachya and also Paccippanna, conditioned by the other two, because they arise together, one Pachya and other Pachya too, like seeing, how come? Not just the eye base or that which impinges on it, but also Kamma, condition it to arise, to experience present object or unpresent object. And we learn more too, little by little, to understand that there is not just one Pachya, interrelated. As now, condition seeing, not only the eye base and the rupa which impinge on it, what about other cetasika, phassa and vedana and so on, and how come those moment realities as vipaka, result of karma. So karma which has been done, no matter how long ago, Pakatu Panisya is there. It is Pachya for anything to arise when time for that karma to condition its results and so on. That's why without realities at all, can there be Pakatu Panisya Pachya and can there be other Pachya? Impossible. Because Dhamma is so very, very subtle, even just a reality, like seeing. How come to be blind and how come to be the eyes different from others, like the eyes of the Buddha and so on. All must be Pachya because it's there to condition the other reality arising together, or now it's there as Kamma, condition for what would arise in the future. That's why we learn to understand each reality to understand what Pachya is there and what is it Paccayupanna, that which is conditioned by it. But no one and nothing. It's there, Pakatu Panisya, to be such and such in its own way.
Thank you, Ajahn. Yep. So back to, we have to learn to understand characteristic of each reality that arising or appearing now, I guess.
In order to let go wrong understanding of it's permanent, it's mine, or it's me, or it's someone, something, it's truth. None at all. Gone forever, never to arise again. Otherwise, there cannot be the eradication of ignorance, which takes reality for something. And learn to be truthful to the truth at level of intellectual understanding, firmer and firmer, adidana, satya, to let go, nekama, the wrong idea of self, and kilesa. At moment of understanding now, parami, assure. And what is Pakatu Panisya Pachya? Condition more understanding.
Well, I think when I heard Sarah said that statement, I was thinking of and curious to know how that accumulated tendency would affect the way karma brings its effect. I think that's my original curiosity, wanting to know. But when I asked, it seemed like I can understand a little more. Thank you.
Just get closer and closer to what is there now. So close, very close. Nothing is as close as this moment, reality.
And I think the point,
it cannot be.
I think the point you made, Leanne, is right. If there isn't the understanding of the characteristic of reality, like what is seeing now, then there cannot be any understanding of how it is Pachya for other dharmas, or how it is the Paccayapana, the conditioned reality by different conditions. But getting closer and closer to understanding the reality means actually beginning to understand more and more about its conditioned nature and its conditioning nature in different ways.
I don't know if I understood it correctly, probably not, because it's still, again, thinking about a story not about reality, but still I want to put it forward so you can point it out to me, my wrong understanding, where my wrong understanding is, so I can learn from it. Is when I heard that, I was thinking, is that because, for example, certain people have a certain tendency, like, for example, I like cleaning. I like doing work. Then, I would choose to do heavy work or dirty work. Then because of that, the touching, at the moment of touching, there's more chances for touching unpleasant objects. And that's how, and touching unpleasant object is a result of bad karma or a kusala karma. So I was thinking, because of my accumulated tendency, like doing cleaning or doing hard work, because of that, this a kusala karma got chances, got conditioned for us to come to the effect. Would that be the right understanding? I know it's a long story. It's way too long story. But I'm curious and I still want to know. I know time is almost up.
Well, I think the example is given in the text of the pigs that like mucking around in muck and basically eating excrement and so forth. So obviously there's a lot of akusala vipaka there for the pigs. But we don't really have to think in terms of how it affects our life, because there's so many moments apart from the moments when you are cleaning for other vipaka, other kamma to bring result, that the overall balance may be no different for you than for anyone else in life. Who knows? I think it's, as you say, it's the story rather than the understanding of the reality of the present moment. And another factor is this, that just because you enjoy cleaning, that is working in dirty circumstances, doesn't necessarily mean there'll be more akusala vipaka, because there's different kinds of dirt. There can be, not all dirt has to be akusala vipaka. So again, just thinking of the story.
And there's a lot of thinking of I in different situations, like one may think, more interest and understanding the Dhamma, so more kusala vipaka. But what about the Buddha's case? Still so much akusala vipaka. So conditions are so intricate. No point in dwelling or thinking, or if one thinks, I shouldn't clean the house because there will be more akusala vipaka, it's the wrong way.
Thank you, Ajahn John and Sarah, for your explanation.
I think it's about time, so I don't know if Ajahn has any last words she would like to add before we finish.
When there is question and when got the answer, what's that? I have question and I got the answer. Joy, pity, or what? Or am I? When there's no understanding that actually each one is different, so very quickly, one after another, no one at all. And without understanding each one as it is, like hearing and sound and so on, in life to life, how can there be the letting go, wrong understanding, taking it for something when it's not there anymore? As soon as it has the reason, it falls away instantly. If there is the understanding of this, it let go the idea of self at any moment. I think that today is enough. Thank you very much. Swadika.
Thank you, Swadika, very lively.
Swadika.
Big fan, Ajahn.